Let's talk about how to build a relationship with a prospect in under 15 minutes. A lot of you might look at me now and be like, hey Alex, you've got such good social skills. How are you even doing that? And I gotta tell you, and this might be a surprise to some of you, I actually used to have terrible social anxiety. So bad was my social anxiety that I had to read books on how to talk to people. One of my favorite ones was How to Talk to Anybody About Anything by Leil Lowndes. And I would read this book and I would go out and I had to actually learn how to talk to people over the course of about 6 to 8 months. But because I had to learn it, because I'm not a natural, I'm in a pretty good situation to teach what I learned. And besides that, I've also sold millions of dollars via phone calls and in-person meetings, stuff like that. I've talked about it a bunch on the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about one thing that a lot of salespeople get wrong, and that is how to build a relationship with a prospect in under 15 minutes. How do you get your prospect to actually like you enough to listen to your pitch? That's what I want to talk about. So let's jump into it. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Learn how to book meetings with billion-dollar brands and take your company to the next level at email10k.com. The first thing you want to do is be natural. No fake enthusiasm required. You might have seen The Wolf of Wall Street, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character is trying to teach his team how to be the ultimate cold callers. And I'm not saying this doesn't work. In the scene, Leonardo DiCaprio is giving the pitch, and his voice sounds perfect, his inflections are perfect, and he's trying to teach his team how to talk exactly like him. Some people are very good mimics. You could tell them exactly how to say something, and they would practice it, and they would say it exactly as you say it. But the thing that I've learned is I'm not a natural mimic. If I tried to be super hypey like some of these sales trainers online, which it's crazy how they all act exactly the same, if I tried to do that, it just wouldn't come off as natural. I'm more of a laid-back, chill guy. So if I was on a sales call and I was coming at you hard, I was like super friggin' hyped up all the time talking about pros and cons and benefits, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't feel natural. If you're more of a chill person, don't try to act like you're this hypey, depth sales guy that we all see all the time. You don't need to do that. You also don't need to be fake nice, and you don't need to pretend to be anything that you're not. The way I try to think about it is you want to act like you were on a first date, meaning you want to be yourself, but the best version of yourself. So if you're angry that day, try not to act angry on the call. No one wants to be yelled at by a sales guy in the first 30 seconds of the call. On that next point, if you're yourself and you're just kind of talking, which by the way, you can get comfortable with yourself by being on a lot of calls. This isn't something you're going to hit right out of the gate. This is something that comes with time and with practice. So if you do want to get better at talking to your prospects and building rapport with your prospects, the easiest way to do that is to get on a lot of calls, and the easiest way to book a lot of calls, and the best way to book a lot of calls is with Email 10K, which is our course on how to book a bunch of meetings and sell a bunch of deals. So I would check that out if I were you. The next step is break the ice with small talk. You don't want to jump into your pitch right away. And the easiest thing that I found is talking about the weather. It's something we all have experience with. And anyone understands that if he's talking about the weather, we can do it. Like most people will be able to jump into that conversation about the weather, no problem. You can start warming up to each other that way. The other way to do small talk is if they ask you, how's it going over there? You tell them something exciting that you did, something super positive. The next thing you want to do is ask about their problems before pitching your service. And this is for rapport building to try to get them to like you and talk to you, but it is also for you as a salesperson. You want to have a pretty strong understanding of their problems before you start pitching random stuff. We're selling marketing and sales training at our two companies, Institute of Sales and X27. And before any of our team is able to sell anything, we want to identify, one, that they have a problem, but two, we want to figure out how they speak about their problem. Because a lot of teams have trouble with lead gen or have trouble with sales, especially if they're on the call. If they're on the call with us, we know that they've already opted in, they already have some kind of issue, but we have to get them to express it in their way. And sometimes we pivot. Sometimes we're talking about sales training on an Institute of Sales call, but they say their biggest problem is lead gen, and we'll pitch X27 instead. We wouldn't find out until we did the whole pitch, and then at that point, they've already tuned out because we're not talking about anything relevant to them. And if you want the discovery call questions, the exact questions we ask, we actually have this as a free download. You can check that out down below. Another thing you want to do is be open about your product and service. This is relevant if you have a bunch of competitors, and we're in the lead gen space, so we have a ton of competitors. And what happens is sometimes on these calls, the customer will ask, they'll be like, how are you different from Lead Genius? How are you different from Bant? How are you different from Close.io? Like, they'll just even throw in random stuff that's not relevant to what we are. And so it's good if you're a salesperson to know how you compare, ideally how you're better, but the pros and the cons in general. So for instance, we do customized outreach to golden geese companies between $5 and $150 million in revenue. So we charge a premium for our meetings versus somebody who might charge less, but is reaching out to everyone and thus gives you lower quality meetings. So you don't have to win on price. You just have to know exactly where you fit in the competitive landscape and how you're better than your competitors. And if your competitors are actually better than you, recommend your competitors and get better. Come on, man. You need to figure out how you're better than your competitors if you don't think you're better than them. Or if you're a sales guy working at a company that's not better than the competitors, you got to get out of there or try to improve the company. Because the last thing you want to be doing is selling people something that you know is not good for them. You might make some money that way, but it's going to eat you up inside. And slowly you're going to hate not only your job, but yourself if you do that. And one good way that I found super helpful to think about sales is think of these sales calls not as you pitching or going through the spin selling techniques or whatever. Think of it more like you're a doctor consulting them as a patient. If your doctor went in right away and was like, Alex, you have brain cancer, this is exactly what I'm going to do, you would be very worried because you would want the doctor to sit down and ask you some questions first. You wouldn't want a doctor to come in there and start recommending stuff off the bat. And it's the same with selling marketing, with selling web development, with selling anything. You need to know if the client has a problem and what that problem is before you start recommending your thing to them. Otherwise, it won't make any sense. And you're just like that doctor walking in and saying that somebody has cancer before even looking at any test results. Right? And the last thing you want to do is, if all else fails, pitch a no-brainer offer. And do this anyway. What a no-brainer offer is something that's so good that they can't say no to. A good example of this would be something like for lead gen, you might say something like, we're going to get you at least 8 meetings in the next 30 days, and if we don't, you can have all the money back. That's a no-brainer offer. They'd be like, all right, yeah. So even if you have the worst sales call ever, pitching a good no-brainer offer will save you. But if you have the best sales call ever, pitching the no-brainer offer will seal the deal for you. And if you want more examples of no-brainer offers and exactly how to do it, I would join Email 10K if I were you. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. So you don't have a business idea, huh? Do you want to know what the best business to start is, regardless of market conditions? Check out the free presentation at email10k.com. We have over 200 students that are crushing it using this business strategy, even during this time. So check that out, email10k.com. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a comment down below. What was the best thing that you learned from this video? Smash that like button to encourage the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe for more content like this, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.